Hello everyone and welcome back. Today what we're going to do for you is we're going to be working with you in a new form of hair cutting. If you've been following us, you will know that there are only three ways of cutting hair: one length, graduated, and layered. We're going to go into the last phase of the three, and that is layered hair cutting today. So I do need to give you a little bit of an explanation of that. Remember that we use a progressive learning system here at Capri, and we need you to understand the first two before you actually enter into this new realm of layering. One length hair cutting we did with you, graduated hair cutting we did with you, and we did them in a couple of different ways to support the laws of hair cutting, which are the all-important laws that never change in hair cutting. And those laws need to be memorized by you so that it will assist you in your future when you're planning and designing haircuts. So we're going to actually go behind me. You see layered form hair cutting, and I'm going to explain exactly what layers do for you in a haircut. Up here you see layered form hair cutting, and the first thing that you need to know about layered hair cutting is that it is the only hair cutting technique that removes weight in a haircut. And that's really important. When a client comes in and complains about how heavy their hair is, you should immediately start thinking, she needs layers or he needs layers, whenever they're talking about too much hair or the hair is droopy or too heavy. The other thing you need to know about layered form hair cutting is that it's the only haircut that creates volume and height in the interior of a haircut. Now remember that the interior is above the widest part of the head, and when anybody is complaining that they can't get height or volume in their haircut, what you need to do is think layered hair cutting. The other part is the types of layers are determined by the interior design line. So most of the hair cutting we've been doing for you with the graduation and the one length, a lot of the designing was done in the perimeter of the cut. What we're talking about now is we have to think about interior designs or design lines that move or go in different directions in the interior of the haircut. So that's what they mean by the types of layers are determined by an interior design. Some of the haircuts that we've done or will be doing with you are concave layers. Other terms people use is long layers. Some people call these haircuts shags. Whatever they use as far as terminology, don't get hooked up on that. The bottom line here is that they're doing layers in their haircuts. There are three common types of layers, and that brings us to the different ways in which we do long layers and concave, round layers, square layers. Again, there are many different terms. Don't get hooked up on them. It depends on the interior design lines that give these haircuts their names. Long layers are shorter in the interior and lengths increase towards the exterior of the haircut. Round layers are equal in length throughout the entire haircut. And square layers are commonly used in men's hair cutting to create that square effect, which is stronger, more masculine, and has corners in it. The last but not least, before we go in on how you actually create layers, is the surface appearance of all layered haircuts are totally activated. And what we mean by that is there's no smooth one length type appearance in the haircut. It is totally activated or moving and shaggy. That's where that word shag comes in. And that's what we talk about when we talk about layered haircuts. They're very activated, feathery, whatever you want to call it. Last, we are going to create layered haircuts by using over direction or shifting, which is going to be exactly what we're going to do with the haircut for you today, or projecting the hair, bringing it out above 90 or 90 or above is layers, or any combination of these will create layers for you. So that's what layered form hair cutting is. That's where we're going to be going with you today. This is going to be your very first haircut using layered form hair cutting. And the haircut that we're going to be performing today for you is called the conversion layer. Now, we're using shifting or over direction in this haircut. And what you see on there is that we're going to start off with our 4 basic sections. We're going to go from the front hairline and take vertical sections approximately a ½ inch wide up to the ear, and then the back sections are going to work off of a point. What you see here up on the board is that the line or design that we're going to do in the interior is going to be a straight vertical line at the face. When we do this type of hair cutting, it's going to support the idea of short hair pushes and supports long hair. So by shifting this hair forward, we're creating the shortness around the face, which is going to tend to push back. The idea also shows that when we talk about the laws of hair cutting, shifting creates distance, which creates length. And that is going to be, the most length is going to be kept in the back of this haircut, and the shorter lengths are going to be in the front of this haircut. So we're going to work all vertical sections in the front, and then as we get towards the back of this haircut, you're going to see us work on a pivot or radial sections as we teach you. And the procedure is to pull the sections to the front center nose, straight out with the nose, vertical, and work front towards the back, and then work one side and then the other. That's how you're going to see us. There's a little notation here, make sure you understand that although we are not going to be cutting a perimeter in this haircut, if we were working in the salon, the stylist would cut the perimeter length first and then go into the conversion layering. So most layered haircuts, we don't start a haircut with layers. 9 out of 10 times, not always, but 9 out of 10 times, you're going to create your perimeter design lengths first and then connect or create the layers after that fact. So we're going to get started in just a moment. I hope you have a clear understanding of what layered form haircutting is, and in just a moment we're going to start our conversion layered haircut. So before I get started with this haircut conversion layering, what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you how to make sure that none of our graduates from Capri are what you call mono-tooled. Now, when my uncle used that term back in the day, what he wanted to make sure of is that you as a hair designer or a hair cutter are not stuck to just one tool. Most everyone knows about these. These are scissors, and again, we talked about scissor stroke and all that good stuff, but if you only know how to use a scissor, the only people that are going to come to you to get their hair cut is people who want their hair cut with a scissor. Today, we're going to not only change the technique that we're going to use, which is going into layering, but we're also going to change the tool that you're going to use, and that is we're going to be cutting this hair with a razor. Now, there's a few different types of razors, and I'm going to just show you a couple of ways of holding them. This here razor has a sheath which protects the razor when it's not being used. We could hold this in two different ways. One is straight out like this. This is the thumb grip underneath, and you wrap your 4 fingers around that. Or some people like to work with the sheath up, and you put your thumb in the same place, 2 fingers in front, 2 fingers on the bottom, or 1 finger in the front and 1 finger on the bottom, and that's the way we hold this type of razor. Another type of razor is called the feather razor, becoming very popular, and you actually have these in your kits. And what we have is we have a razor with a protective guard on it, and of course a ring finger hole for your ring finger. And again, the same idea, your ring finger goes through the hole. You're going to put these fingers on top. This is your pinky rest. Thumb goes underneath, and that's how we hold our feather razor. Last but not least, there are many different types of razors. This was picked up quite a few years ago. This holds a blade in both sides of the razor. And when we talk about this type of razor, it's totally protected, and you put a blade which has both edges on the sides. You open that up, and you could see that the razor will fit in there. Close it, and now you hold your thumb underneath, hand on top, and work with your razor. So those are the different types of razors. And as I said to you earlier, we're going to be working this haircut with a razor. So we're ready to get started here, and as we always start, we're going to be going from mannequin A, which we've used mostly in the classroom here, to our mannequin B. Now, if you remember, mannequin B hasn't been cut for quite a while, and we did 2 basic haircuts on this mannequin B before we started with today. And that is we created a diagonal back, 1 length haircut, and then we did a diagonal back shifted graduated haircut on her. So she's had 2 haircuts. One was 1 length, one was graduation. Today, she's going to get what we call a face frame or conversion layers, okay? And what we're going to do is, as you see here, we're going to converge all the layers or pull all of the hair towards the face. We're going to make sure that when we do this haircut, we're going to be just working with the sections, making sure that they're not going up too high or too low. We want to keep them level with the head. And when we do this, we want to actually create a straight line here in the very front of the haircut. So that's how we're going to do it. We're going to do one side first, and then we're going to do the second side after we've completed the first side. Starting with the 4 basic sections, I'm going to take my first vertical section, and it's going to be from the top of the head straight down to the hairline. So I do not want to accidentally just take a little bit like this, because if you create your guideline with that, it does not reach all the way down to the hairline. We want to make sure that when we take our very first section, it comes all the way down to this bottom hairline here. That's the only way we can create a good guideline for ourselves here in this haircut. So what we're going to do now is, once we have our length for our guideline and things, we're going to come in and we don't have to pick all of this up. We can take part of it, but we want enough to make sure that we can keep a nice vertical line. And again, you could see that I want to keep it level with the top of the head, and I want to make sure that I am at the center of the ear, center of the nose, my apologies. Okay, so if I accidentally go too far over here, I'm going to gain too much length. If I don't go far enough here, I'm going to lose the length. If I go too high, I'm going to get it much shorter at top and longer at the bottom. So let's just keep it right to the center of that nose. We're going to keep it about level with the top of the head. And again, I want my hair to come about to the chin area. Notice my hand is not moving, and I'm just taking my razor and going back and forth with a sawing motion. I'm going to take that guideline now from there, and I'm going to continue and just keep that straight line going right to the very end. Now notice that some of that fell out, and that's okay, because we're not going to keep chasing our guideline. That's called chasing the guideline. We're going to keep it right there. We could see the line we're creating, and if some of this falls out and doesn't reach to here, that's okay. Let it go. So this is our guideline. You could see the longest length is right about the chin area, and we're going to continue to take sections vertically from here. I'm going to, again, take about half of this section. We're bringing it right to the very front. Make sure you notice I don't have to comb from this side at all during this haircut. I'm simply going to come in and take that haircut here and make sure that my position is correct. And now when you do with a razor cut, you could see my guideline is here. I have to go beyond my guideline. See my guideline on the inside of my fingers, and now I'm going to take that same motion with the razor and take that hair off. Again, dragging that hair to the position I need it in to be taken off. So when you work with a razor, there's a couple of things you should be aware of. If you're working on wavy or curly hair, the haircut will get curlier, or the hair will get curlier or wavier. So if the client does not like their wavy hair, or they want to get it straighter, you might create more texture for them by cutting their hair with a razor. The other thing is, you always have to cut hair with a razor with tension. So what we mean by that is, because I have to go past my guideline here and then cut it, I'm pulling on that hair as it's being cut. That is the front done with our haircut at this point. And we're going to now go into our pivots into the back until we get to the center back area. Now, it's key factor I want to bring in is my very first section, just like we did on the side, I want to make sure that that guideline goes all the way down to the nape area here. So when we go in to cut this, what we're going to do is we're going to be taking it from the top, bringing this hair forward. You could see I'm not bringing all of that hair forward. And notice when I'm working with the razor, my body position is directly in front of where I'm cutting. And what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we're changing up. My arm with my comb in it is now up, and we're going to keep this elbow down low into my body here, and we're going to hold it in the position we need, and anything that comes off, comes off. If it doesn't reach, don't cut it. So all of this hair from the bottom here, I'm going to pull it forward. I'm going to go to my same position. If there is nothing to cut, let it go. We're going to continue this, taking pie sections through the back and just finish up the back area of this haircut. And again, anything that reaches, we cut off. Anything that doesn't reach, we leave. Take my next section, pulling that hair forward. I have a lot of hair in my hand right now, but again, just take whatever you feel comfortable with. Bring it again, level with the top of that head. Bring it to the center of the nose. Go to your guideline. Go past your guideline. Back and forth motion with the razor. Make sure that when you're going to cut this, you're in the right position. Looks like hardly anything else is coming off. So I'm going to take my last section back here. We're going to bring it all forward, back to the same position. See if anything comes off. I just have a few strands of hair to come off. Make sure that when you go to cut with your razor, you do not drop your hand. You want to keep your hand stationary and cut right with the razor. Take the hair off, but do not move the hand when you are cutting with the razor. I'm going to check to see if anything else comes over my line. And we are done with that side. So, this is the first side of the haircut that we've done for you, conversion layers, and also known as a face frame. We're going to now actually come in and do the exact same procedure on the other side. So, this is called what we call conversion layering. And we didn't have to design it to be shorter in the front. We do conversion layering in many different ways. For example, if we wanted this hair to move forward, we could go and do conversion layering towards the back. We can do conversion layering up at the top. So there's lots of different ways of doing conversion layering depending on the design that you're trying to achieve. Remember that hair cutting is just creating short bits in some areas and long bits in other areas. So we're manipulating the hair lengths by changing those lengths and manipulating the haircut to do what we want it to do. But the reality is the laws of hair cutting are what dictate what we design with our haircuts. And there's a big difference between designing a haircut and just asking everyone if they want just a trim. So remember that when you are a hair designer, there's a big difference between that and just trimming hair. So I hope you enjoyed. We're going to come back, blow this out for you so you can see the finished results, and we'll see you in a minute. Okay everybody, so as you can see, this is the finished version of the conversion layered haircut, also known as a face frame. You could see the lightness or softness that it did with the razor cut in through the front area of this haircut. We blue dry it just sort of as a face frame, but we didn't have to. We could have blue dry this so that it could show the feathers effect that goes back like that. And again, that's very 70s-ish or 80s-ish. Or you could wear it forward in this haircut. But again, I hope you guys can see the versatility. We're going to be going into more and more layered haircuts with you in the near future. And this is the very first of the layered haircuts we teach you here at Capri. I hope you enjoyed your session and looking forward to doing some more haircutting for you guys. Thank you very much.